In the remote fishing village of Craig, Alaska, where the population hovers around 1,200, and everyone knows each other's boats, a horrific discovery in September 1982 shattered the quiet coastal life. The charred remains of the investor, a 58-foot salmon seiner, were found smoldering in a secluded cove on Fish Egg Island. Inside, 8 bodies, shot execution style before the fire, lay in ruins. This wasn't just a fire. It was a calculated massacre that claimed an entire family and their crew, leaving a small town gripped by fear and suspicion. Drawing from police reports, survivor accounts, and the book, What Happened in Craig, this case remains one of Alaska's most baffling unsolved crimes. A stark reminder that evil can dock in the most isolated harbors. The investor belonged to Mark Coulthurst, a 28-year-old skipper from Blaine, Washington, who had turned the boat into a thriving family business. In the summer of 1982, Mark, his pregnant wife Irene, also 28, their 2 young children, Kimberly, 5, and John, 4, and 4 teenage deckhands, Dean Moon, 19, Jerome Keown, 19, Michael Stewart, 19, and Chris Heyman, 18, set out for the Alaskan salmon season. They were a tight-knit group, hard-working and unassuming, docking in Craig for supplies before heading to troll for fish near Point Baker. On September 5th, everything seemed normal. The crew unloaded their catch and celebrated a good haul at a local bar. But by the next morning, radio silence fell over the investor. Alarm bells rang when another fisherman spotted smoke rising from the cove on September 7th. Rushing to the scene, rescuers found the boat engulfed in flames, anchored oddly far from shore. The fire had been set deliberately. Accelerants like diesel fuel were suspected, and the blaze was so intense it melted metal fittings. Once extinguished, the grim tally emerged. 8 bodies, all with gunshot wounds to the head from a .22 caliber weapon. Autopsies revealed the victims were killed before the fire, likely in their sleep or caught off guard. Irene was 5 months pregnant, adding to the heartbreak. The children were found huddled together, as if seeking comfort in their final moments. Personal items like wallets and jewelry were missing, but robbery seemed unlikely. The boat's valuable salmon catch was untouched. Craig, a tiny hub on Prince of Wales Island, accessible only by sea or air, buzzed with paranoia. Locals whispered about drug deals gone wrong or rival fishermen settling scores, but the tight community made outsiders suspicious. State troopers and the FBI descended, interviewing over 100 people. A key witness, a former deckhand named John Peel, emerged as a person of interest. Peel had worked for Coulthurst the previous season, but was fired amid tensions. He allegedly owed money and harbored resentment. On the night of the murders, Peel was seen in Craig, acting erratic and borrowing a skiff from a friend. Witnesses placed him near the investor around the time of the killings, and he returned the skiff with bloodstains and a missing oarlock. Investigators pieced together a timeline. After the crew partied, someone boarded the investor in the dark, methodically shooting the victims. The killer then piloted the boat to the cove, doused it in fuel, and escaped, possibly by swimming or using a dinghy. Ballistics linked the bullets to a .22 rifle, but no weapon was found. Peel's alibi crumbled. He claimed to be at a motel, but records showed otherwise. In a bizarre twist, Peel failed a polygraph and reportedly confessed to a friend, saying, "I had to do it. They knew too much." Yet, physical evidence was thin. No fingerprints on the boat survived the fire, and DNA tech in the 80s was rudimentary. The case went to trial in 1984. Prosecutors painted Peel as a jealous ex-employee with motive. Coulthurst had denied him a job that season, and Peel needed cash. Witnesses testified to his volatile temper and familiarity with the boat's layout. But the defense hammered holes. No direct evidence tied him to the scene, and the blood on the skiff was inconclusive. It could have been fish blood. After a mistrial and a second trial in 1988, Peel was acquitted. Jurors cited reasonable doubt, frustrated by the lack of smoking gun proof. Peel maintained his innocence, suing the state for wrongful prosecution and winning a settlement. He later moved away, but rumors lingered. What made this case so chilling for Craig residents was the eerie silence that followed. In a town where gossip flows like the tides, no one came forward with definitive tips. Some speculated a professional hit, perhaps tied to Seattle's underworld, as Coulthurst had minor deaths, but leads dried up. Others pointed to a transient fisherman or even a cult, given the ritualistic execution style. The fire destroyed most clues, and the remote location meant no CCTV or eyewitnesses beyond hearsay. In 2010, the case was reopened with modern forensics. DNA from cigarette butts on the boat didn't match Peel, but no new suspects emerged. A 2017 documentary, The Investor Murders, reignited interest, featuring interviews with survivors' families who still seek closure. The massacre devastated families. Irene's parents raised awareness through victim advocacy, while the deckhands' loved ones formed support groups. Craig erected a memorial plaque at the harbor, but the town remains haunted. Fishermen avoid Fish Egg Island, calling it cursed. Theories abound online. Was it Peel after all, or a cover-up by locals protecting their own? One persistent rumor involves a ghost ship sighting days before, adding a supernatural layer to the folklore. In the end, the investor case exemplifies how isolation breeds mystery. 8 lives snuffed out in a blaze of violence, yet justice eludes. If you have tips, contact Alaska State Troopers. The case is still active. Thanks for joining this dive into forgotten horrors. Stay vigilant in those small towns. You never know who's anchoring nearby.